Hey everybody, welcome to the Mayor Joe Taylor Show. Jeff Underwood, this guy over here with the hat on, with his glasses down, looking like he's smart. Jared White.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Hello, Mr. Man.
We know he's smart.
How are you?
I'm good.
You just have to look like it.
I just think this is an appropriate time to make an announcement.
Okay.
And I think we should pontificate on this just a little bit. Randy Weiss in that state championship.
What about that, man?
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will clap
Yeah.
for that. There's
Heck
no
yeah,
doubt
man.
about it.
how good could they have been if they had a better coach?
There's
Just
no
think
doubt.
about that.
If they'd had a coach.
See if they had a coach.
You know, all those assistant coach running around behind Randy.
What the world?
I mean, they held that guy up. But we have given Randy a fit
yes.
about the fact that, you know, he came up short last year. And, man, it was tough. You know, they had a tornado up there and all this other stuff that just kind of and Randy felt like they were going to have a dip in quality of work this year. And, boy, his kids stepped up. Now, he does have a ton of seniors, but those kids were playing last year, and some of them not playing at all. Like, you know, his son Grant has pulled in and filled a starting position, and I was lobbying for Grant last year. I told him last night at our meeting, you know, Grant, I was advocating for you, buddy, because I believe Grant was one of those. He's one of those players that plays with pure heart and soul.
He's a dude.
He's just a hard worker.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to get that out of the way.
That's awesome.
I mean, good for them. That's awesome, man.
And I said it last night at our meeting. You know, I don't think people understand, and I hate to always carry things back to the growth and economic development of a city, but when you've got a state championship team, especially in the sports that are those what are considered sideline sports to a lot of us, not a part of the big three, you know, it's pretty special because, you know, we don't have to worry about leaving kids out.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these smaller communities, because of the baseball, basketball, football, you start leaving kids out. But around here, these kids play soccer.
Hey, in that girls program,
Oh,
Final
no
Four
joke.
again.
Yes.
Come on, man. That's
And they're just knocking on the door. I mean,
Edge.
you know, Miss Cargill, she's putting that thing together, and there's no doubt theirs is coming soon. Don't know when it's going to be. Of course,
they lose some ladies. That
Yeah.
Sprinkle, is it Maddie? Maddie Sprinkle.
Yeah,
Dude, she's a baller.
and that
They got some talent.
that Carter girl.
Yes. Oh, just put it in the
Kenzie,
comments.
Kenzie Carter.
Yeah, Kenzie.
She's no joke either. I mean, that girl can move, and her footwork. Which I'm not a soccer guy, but I can figure out.
Joe's telling us technique.
But I
Okay,
watch
Pele, I got you.
I can watch the technique and know if they're good or bad. But
Sure.
man, that girl can play.
She's
Yeah,
they're talented. So again, congratulations.
but I still don't know what offsides means. I mean, nothing makes sense when you go and kick your own ball out of off the field. That
I keep looking for a
insane.
flag. I
Yeah.
never saw one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. They abuse each other out there. It's just an organized fight.
It's more physical than one would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
That from a non-player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your nephew's a really good player down south in
good.
Dothan.
But it's tough.
They made it a long way, didn't they?
They did. I think they maybe first or second round.
Yeah, they did. It's a good program. What high school is he?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. The rich school down
Oh,
there.
he's in the rich
okay.
school. Yeah.
You know how them Strasburgs are. I don't know.
Logan Johnson, Mayor Taylor's the man.
Logan
That's a
Johnson,
fact.
man. Let me tell you something about Logan Johnson. He's trying to get back out on my good side. He's yet to deliver me a bottle of
What?
that hot sauce.
Hey, put some on his finger.
He just won't do it.
That hot
And
honey
he's,
right there.
he's really upsetting me because I'm doing him right. I brought him to Rainbow
did.
City.
You did.
Saved his life, and here we go.
That hot honey right there.
Yeah.
is
See, they were sampling it yesterday.
amazing.
Nothing. Don't get any.
I mean, he walked that little short walk.
I mean, it's a short walk. Yeah, it's
That's terrible.
200 feet.
Logan.
200 feet, and you're sitting in front of my desk.
I'm sure there's a special assignment you could talk the fire chief into putting him somewhere.
Oh yeah, we can pick some gravel out of those flat tires in that truck.
Yeah, we can find something
Yeah.
that's going on.
You may want to sneak on into the mayor's office right now while he's not there and just
Door's
sit
open.
sit one
it's
on
always
his desk.
open.
I'm proud of Logan. I mean, he's got his hustle going, and
He's doing it, man.
everybody knows how I feel about somebody that'll work.
Yeah.
As long as
And
they'll work, then
The
they've
fact
got
that
me.
he
Yeah.
tried all the recipes on the fireman.
That's
he said
pretty
that, he said they'll tell you if it sucks, it
Oh
sucks.
yeah, they'll tell
he
you. Now.
did.
They're honest about it. If it's awful and tastes like gas, they'll tell you.
But between him and Nick Hill, that's a restaurant waiting to
That's
happen
cooking
right
folks
there.
in there, isn't it?
Boy, they
Yeah.
can do the thing.
Nick Hill's a real deal cook.
Boy.
There's no doubt about that. There's several of them down there that are good
He
coaches.
said he'll give some to Nikki.
Uh,
Yeah, that's way different than putting it in Joe's hand. But
It
okay,
really is.
whatever.
That means you're not going to get it.
Never.
no.
Would give you some, but we ate all ours.
I took mine home that night. Boy, I was eating right up until 6. I was putting on everything. I was,
Getting ready for that fasting one.
man, I was killing that stuff. So
It
good.
really, it's like Mike's Hot Honey.
Yeah.
Not in the same ballpark.
Right.
And that's saying something.
Yeah,
That's
see, and
a-
he's making me have to compare it to it until I get some. That's
true.
So I'm having what is so that's just like Mike's.
So we got 3 days until it
Trying to
drops,
shave
right?
It drops on the 16th.
16?
Yeah, I'm trying to shame him. You would think I would get one like a couple of hours before the drop
I would think.
because I can push him out 3,000 views.
You know, you are
Exactly.
You are the mayor.
Thank you.
You're darn right.
Just saying.
The one and only.
He better recognize.
I guess we better rise up. Hey, did you see his video? His video he put out there? It was
Yeah,
really good,
it was
man.
good,
It
man.
was good. You
Yeah.
did a good job, man.
He does good.
The best thing that he's done was get Tucker McGlone, he's a jewel.
Yeah, Tucker's special.
When Tucker was a little kid, his dad was my driver on my fire truck.
Ryan.
And I would tell him, he'd be talking about how Tucker was going to go to college, and I said that kid ain't going nowhere. He's going to a fire truck. And sure enough, that's where Tucker is. And then his second job, which was my former job, was he cuts grass. And so that's his side hustle. But Tucker,
Are you
did
sure?
you see him drink
Ryan,
redheaded?
Okay.
So I mean, I used to be redheaded, so we're not saying anything. Could be his granddad.
Because we give real. I mean, this is facts, and
Yeah,
this
that's
is a factual show.
No, but that Tucker man, he did a little video for him where he drinks a whole bottle of that really
gosh.
hot, the habanero or whatever.
That's just, I don't
and it cuts back to a couple of minutes later, and the kid's dying.
So funny. So funny. So again, Randy Weiss, thank you not only being a sponsor of everything we do, but congratulations, Coach, on leading your team to. Is that the first ever soccer state
ever
championship?
soccer state championship.
That's huge.
And Randy's just like I was saying a minute ago, that comes back to this city in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
And even though it's South Side or whatever you want to call all that kind of it kind of takes plays second fiddle to the fact that half those kids come from our side of the river, and us and that sister city mentality that we've kept all along. It just proves that you can take kids from both sides of the track and put them together, and they can turn into something great.
Sure.
That is a great group of young men.
Doing the math, I think it's more like 68%.
I like that
City.
number.
Is it
Yeah.
68?
Yeah, 68.
I
Yeah,
like
that's,
that.
that's,
12.
that's,
12.
that's let's carry the one. Yeah, 68.
Yeah.
68.
Yeah, sounds right.
Y'all
Sound-
y'all doing gazentas now?
So let's talk a little bit about what happened last night. It was a huge crowd because they had the
Huge.
Republican party was great. So Mac Butler was sharing a lot of stuff. He's always
Right.
or all the Butlers. But you had it was a pretty good little.
Yeah,
meeting
we
for you
hired a
guys.
police officer. That's
always
he's
good.
actually a fourth generation police officer.
Stop it.
awesome.
Ian Hammond, and had his dad was there, his uncle was there, his brother, and also his his granddaddy, and they're all city of Gaston police officers, and we really courted Ian, and at the time when he got to the point where he was going to come onto a police force, got of age, we didn't have an opening, and so he had to kind of he went to Gadsden and stayed there and finished out what's kind of a contractual agreement based on how much they spend on you, for your training. And as soon as he got through with that, he was ready to come home. And so we're thrilled to have that guy. He's going to be a great addition to our already great police department.
That's great.
He's a good one.
So was Mac Butler there last night?
No, he wasn't at our meeting.
He's at the Republican meeting.
Yeah. that's
Oh,
right.
I see.
Yeah,
Republicans
5:30.
met down at the community center.
Yeah.
I see.
Matt Skelton was there.
I didn't
Judge
realize.
Skelton was there, and he was there because
Given-
Ian's dad is his bailiff, and so he was there supporting
yeah.
Ian coming to our.
I think it's about time we have him back on
Look
and,
at Matt.
and talk
Look at
about
you.
how it's going, being wearing the robe.
Yeah, he says he loves it. I asked him that question last night.
Just
and
don't
said-
question
said
what
he
what
really
he's got
likes
on
it.
under it.
Yeah. I don't think he liked it that I had that gavel last night. 'Cause I was about to gavel him down. He knew it too. He knew it. I
Out
know
of
he's a-
order, Judge.
I know he's a judge and everything, but
That's
he got
so
really
funny.
upset that when he walked in, nobody stood up. That's got to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not going to say all rise when he walks in.
Did you announce him? You didn't even announce it. You did announce
I
it.
let everybody know he was there.
Good.
Hear ye,
Hear ye.
hear ye. So funny. Even we said that when you walk in the room.
That's right.
Because
That's-
you're the mayor. That's
right.
what you should do. We got to give you that proper respect.
Every time you come in the room, I stand
You're
up.
standing
I
up.
do.
There's
I
no
do
doubt.
that.
Yeah.
It's out of respect.
That's right.
It is.
I appreciate
Sure.
that.
That and I might have a bad back, but other than
it
that,
could be
Stretch
that.
it. Well, we got to do a show. Stretch up.
Just scratching a
So
little.
give us the highlights of what happened last night.
We did several things. One is we approved our bond issue that we're going to do to convert all our fields over to turf. That's big
Great.
deal.
Yep.
People don't realize how big a deal that is.
Yeah, I think so too. Dr. Cosby was there. His son Hayes is the goalie. Great kid. I think he's going to Southern Union.
Yep.
On a scholarship to play soccer. Dr.
baseball
Cosby was
program.
there, and we were able to kind of confirm to the public, that we're going into a cooperative effort on our track.
Yeah.
Because it'll be utilized by the high school and junior high. And Mr. Cargill, who just does crazy work with those kids. I mean, they love him to death, and him and his wife, she does soccer, he does track, she helps with track, he helps with soccer, and they're just dedicated to our kids. We're going to put him in a top-notch facility, which is really what's deserving of that track team.
Heck yeah, it
we
is.
have kids that go to state championships every year. We've had some state champions, and I think it's time for us to put them in something that's going to absolutely fit their level of play.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. I can see it now. The Kapow 7-on-7 football tournament.
Yeah, I like
High school
that.
football
I
tournament.
mean,
And see, inside of that track is going to be a turfed full-size soccer field. So we're going to be able to practice and play our kids there, plus be able to do all of the field events there on that field. So we're excited about that. So we secured that. We hired a police officer. We recognized our state champions.
Heck yeah.
We passed a couple of ordinances, one for the fire department, and it's about controlling fire lanes, and
Sure,
it's amazing
sure.
that as we grow, I guess, younger in the sense that drivers have seen so many times that they can just pull where they want to. We're almost having to bring back some of the old rules, of saying, okay, you can't be in that fire lane. That creates a safety hazard, and it's also just dangerous in every way. For people passing between the cars trying to get to the. So we put back in some ordinance for that, so that our
Good.
Fire Marshal Craig Hill he comes to the chief and I and says, hey, I need this or that, and we passed a burn permit ordinance last meeting, and it was just because we did have some bad actors that were bringing material into the city and burning it, and they can bring it in and burn it, but they're gonna pay.
Consequence.
Yeah, the consequence is going to be about $25,000. I think we can control it. I think we can stop it at that
that
point.
stops it right there.
Cut down a $2,000 tree and it costs you $25,000. Yeah, you'll get out of that business.
I think
burning inside the city.
I think it just stopped it.
Yep.
I think we did.
Just
Yeah.
done.
That's
Kevin
right.
Stevens not going to burn anything. Oh, sorry, Kevin.
He said he just saw you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw him.
Kevin.
Yes. When was that? Last week.
Brett Chow Smith said, "It's an absolute stud."
Yeah.
You sucking up to the man.
Hey, that's my buddy right there.
And then he
called
says
my lunch
muffin.
the other day, so I'm gonna leave that alone.
You talk about
and
some-
didn't even have to show up and glad hand me. I mean, like he passed by, saw my car, called the restaurant, and paid my.
How about
paid for
that?
My lunch. Now that's a good guy.
That's
right
somebody
there.
that
What?
does the right
Yeah.
thing.
Brett, could you follow me and Jerry and see us out somewhere?
Brett's precious, man. He got all them tattoos and stuff. He trying to bring that bad with him.
Please.
He's soft.
Dude.
That dude, he's soft and loving. He's like an old teddy bear.
You know how many of those times that he's been saved from getting in a fight because of the tattoos?
Oh,
He looks a certain
lot,
way.
for sure.
That ain't gonna help you on this show.
No, we'll cut you.
He's a good dude. Man.
You walk over, you
is
leave
a
it
good
back.
You drive past the church, but I'm still waiting for your tithe check.
That's it.
He's a good dude, man.
He did separate the stud and then he put muffin the next
Yeah, there
one.
you go.
Well, it's a separate post. That's the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
separate.
yeah.
That's all different.
He's so funny. What else we got going on?
The comments blowing up.
They are.
Hey,
What do you expect?
people are
It's
on.
Logan Johnson said he needs investors.
Logan knows where to come get that, but you got to come down that hall to find it.
Joe Taylor needs 52%.
I mean, how can you invest in something you ain't even got
Yeah,
the
He
taste?
tasted it.
I mean,
what are you gonna do with that?
Disrespectful.
I think so.
That may have worked in
And he
Aniana.
was taught better. Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, ain't
work
working
Blount
Rainbow City.
County.
Not up in here.
That's what we do up there. Those wings he made the other day look good. Those chicken fingers, they look good. I don't know if y'all saw the little video.
Yeah, I was watching.
I thought that was the video he was on.
Oh, with the hot honey. Yeah, see,
yeah.
I made that before because that's how you make buffalo sauce, but I didn't use the hot honey, of course. I just used the butter and the original,
Yeah.
not the.
How does that feel though? I mean, I think that's a good segue talking about Logan and the people that have, you called them side hustles, that you enjoy your employees getting after it. As long as they do their job and they're working hard for you guys, you encourage them to do other things. You don't get that a lot of places.
No, I think, that was one of the things that I felt like was a failure in where I worked as a firefighter, was that they would see that our guys drove nice trucks,
Yeah.
did all of that, and they would try to say, well, you're making so much money as a fireman, you don't need a raise. Well, that's not true. What they didn't realize that they were working 2,900 hours a year, which is 900 hours more than a 40-hour worker.
Good.
Plus they were going out and working a side hustle, and they made their money there.
Sure.
They were making their benefits, and I always felt like there was times when we were being seen by other employees as getting over, and we weren't getting over. We were working ourselves to death.
Yep.
And by occupation, it's arguable. I don't think it's very much of an argument, but firefighters tend to reach a financial stability a long time sooner than most other occupations.
Sure.
And it's just because they do have a schedule that is, and it's a hard schedule, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work 24 hours and at any point they're going to say, hey, wake up, go across town, spend 20 minutes over there, come back, and then you can lay down and go to bed.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That turns into about 2 hours of being awake.
Yeah.
And then you leave the next day and go cut grass or paint houses or build houses or make, hot sauce. And all of those things create just for a tough life. But I think, it's the thing about firefighters. They are just gritty people. They're just hard, and I think that translates into all of their successes.
So good.
And that's why camp couldn't be a fireman.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
just a few points in camp would have been a great fireman. Just,
Wow.
Sorry.
that's the biggest running joke, is that they love to talk about firemen sleeping on the job, and then we love to talk about they just came up short on the test, or that wouldn't bother them.
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it is.
They just sleep in a bed. You guys sleep in your car.
That's right.
We know where y'all hide.
On Lawns Road.
Yeah.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Watch him out.
Hey,
We don't talk about Trooper Evans like that.
That's
Sorry. Okay.
The work that's you guys have been doing down here is very visible. People are talking about it. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, we're doing some work at our recreation center's coming up. It's out of the ground. It's a fully stood up structure now. We're still on schedule. We've had a lot of rain days, but those rain days were kind of built into that plan already. Our general contractor, Dominguez Persons, is they're a great group to work with. Our oversight is through GMC, the Engineering Corp, Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, and they're keeping us on task. We've picked our furniture. The furniture's ordered. I mean, they built the pump house for the aquatic center just in the last few weeks, and they're about to put down the floor inside the gym.
That's huge.
And they say we're on schedule to finish this thing in the last quarter of this year. So it's different. That's 50,000 square feet of just fun.
You want something to do?
Yeah,
We got something to
and
do.
we already have people calling on us now. There's a national gymnastics meet that's being bid for, hopefully.
Yeah.
And if we can finish in time, they want to be able to bring a national gymnastics meet here.
That's
Super
awesome.
cool.
That's fabulous,
Yeah.
And we know we've got the floor for them to put all of the exercises there times 2. So it's going to be really, really cool.
That means there's going to be.
I hope that comes up. I hope he wins the bid. It's a local company, and
Good.
we're excited for them.
Well, it just boosts revenue. People in here, they're going
It
to
does.
eat, they buy gas,
It
and
does. And and we're the
Shop at
best
the
thing
sport
that
goods
ever
store.
happened. We're the best city that ever happened to the surrounding cities because we don't have a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that lodging tax in the pockets of the mayor
The other guy.
Mayor Ford and
Yeah.
Mayor Means and even Southside's mayor, because they have a hotel. And, we know that, a little small hotel down on the right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like when
okay.
when
I did not realize
in,
that.
in the car business. That's what we have people come in and run a special or something. We always put our salespeople up there.
How about that? Okay.
So it's just one of those things where we're being a good steward of our gifts, but also we're passing it on to these other cities. We're the best thing that happened to anyone that has a hotel.
Man.
True. What's going on here with the old City Church?
City
work
Church.
going on
Right
there,
now we tore down the old section of the church. It just had so many
yeah.
problems.
Sure.
And it was old. I think it was built in maybe the 40s or 50s, and so we tore that down. And right now we're kind of in a planning phase. We've asked for some advice, and hopefully we'll be able to put something together. The council really would like to see that go towards senior, working for our seniors.
okay.
And we don't want to get rid of something because we gain a new building. A lot of cities will purge themselves of their assets, and that's just not the way I see things. Owning property in Rainbow City is unlike any of the surrounding areas. It's valuable, and so we try to hang on to that asset so that we can bring the total asset of the city, the value of this city moves up, which brings us on strength in borrowing if we ever need to borrow money.
Sure. Well, it's got the gym, it's got the walking track.
That's right.
So it's kind of some good setup stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a very cool building. So we're looking forward to moving something soon on it. We're about to do a refurbishment in our city hall. We're going to redo our council chambers. It's long overdue.
Sure.
We do look a little bit dated in there, and now that we're beginning to finish up those priority projects of paving and drainage and all of those things, we're starting to move towards it's okay now to do something to our own home.
That's
and,
cool.
It's a really good time.
You hear that, Councilman Prince? You may get a new chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about them chairs.
He was talking
He
about
don't like
chairs.
those chairs.
Yeah, he
well, it's because Anita Bedwell swaps chairs with, and then that chair sinks down and it makes Jeff look all short.
he's going to run on that. That's his campaign.
Yeah, new chairs.
Yes. Did you see what Union Jack is having today?
I did. Of course. I did.
Oh, Mayor, they're having honey hot chicken tacos
Yeah.
See,
today.
they got something.
They're so good.
That place is so
What a
good.
gym,
Bro.
It's a hidden gym.
11 o'clock is coming.
It is.
It's so good.
Come
See,
on,
it's
son.
my breakfast spot now.
Yeah,
I'm
with
telling
you.
you, their breakfast is fabulous.
And now, since Joe put in the good word for me, I can get breakfast tacos any day.
any
Look
day
at this
you
Pico
want.
de Gallo, man.
Oh, you gotta do
It's
something.
amazing. Pico de Gallo
world.
makes it.
Yes, sir. You just drop that name.
Yeah.
Get them.
I'm going to have to go
Taylor
get
tacos.
some of them.
The Taylor taco. Give me them Taylor tacos.
Taylor tacos.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I hear a lot of good things about Miss Amy's preschool story times.
Oh my goodness. Look.
People love that.
They do, and it's amazing how many people go to that. How
Yeah.
many kids are in our summer reading program?
Yeah.
We'll have, and Tina Brooks is our librarian, and Tina runs that thing. It is a well-oiled machine, but and she writes for grants and she gets extra money. She gets money offered to her by the state, which right now, if you know about libraries, that can be a very touchy situation. But Tina is just so good at being a librarian, and her whole deal is how do we reach out into the neighborhoods? How do we reach out and bring people in? On the days that we have the Amy's and that we have the people that come in and bring snakes and reptiles and all that
Jeff
stuff.
said he's out.
But it's my day that I stay at City Hall. I don't come into work. But on those days, we'll have 400 or 500 kids pass through that place.
Crazy.
It's
isn't it?
30 minutes, right?
nuts.
It's ages 3 to 5,
Yeah.
and you don't have to register.
That's right.
Just
You
show
just show up.
That's so cool.
Man,
I love
yeah.
it.
And we really tried to keep that in place of not always having to make everything formal.
Yeah.
We want people to be able to pass through, come and see us and come in and it's your stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
your buildings. We're just in charge of making sure that it's as good as it can possibly
Well,
be. when
you guys actually welcome people. You want people to come. You want your citizens to come.
That's right.
right.
It's not always like that.
No, it's not. I mean, like I've even welcomed, constitutional auditors into our city hall, and
That never
most people
happens.
are trying to run them off, I just kind of feel sorry for them. But the truth is, it's their house. I mean, they pay the taxes that keep it on, on track. And the same thing goes with every other service that we provide. I've said it before, there's a time when if you provide premium services, people will get to the point where they want those services to spread out into their yard,
Sure.
and there's some things where, I have to tell people, I had somebody actually say that I'd made a promise to them, and I'll tell you something about Joe Taylor. I don't make a promise unless it's a promise that I already know that I can keep.
Mm-hmm.
My deal is that, everything that I do for the city, I have to run by 5 other people and hope that they're like-minded. And sometimes they're not, and that's their
Which is fun
prerogative.
too.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It's good to know that, that Jeff Prince at times will have to say, I don't understand, or I'm not there yet. And I'm okay with that. That just means that I didn't give him a finished product, or that he just doesn't get it.
That's where I was waiting on.
Yeah. But no, I think that's the part about public service, and I tell people I'm not a politician, and I'm a public servant, but there's really shouldn't be a bad name, a connotation to being a politician. That actually, the definition is that you're a leader of a collective group, and I don't think that should be bad. But I can tell you the fact that politicians tend to tell a lot of lies and half truths, and they'll walk into a room, there'll be 4 people in the room, they'll tell each one of them a different story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what brings about a bad name. But there are times when I can't satisfy people. I've made people mad. I've made people storm out of City Hall, because they didn't get what they wanted. Well, I hate it for you. That just means your parents didn't do a good job. I don't know how to answer to that, except to tell you the truth. And so if the truth doesn't work, it's just not going to work for you.
Yeah.
I love how you guys support stuff. It's not just you guys support everything that goes on at City Hall or a city-run program. You guys, as a city, support all there, because there's always something going on. I mean, I see city employees at everything, private events, 12th Street stuff,
Sure.
Our stuff. You guys stop by. The summer program gymnastics my kids used to do when it was what was that? It's called Z's now, I think, but it used to be called something else when my little kids went. And there's city employees stopping by there, because when there's a big crowd, y'all stop by. I love that. You don't big boy anybody. Everybody, even if it's a tiny small business, you guys promote it. You try to encourage it to succeed, and I just love that about this city. I've been a lot of places, and I have not seen that often. If you're not scrubbing somebody's hand, they're not really going to help you.
Right.
But you guys don't do that.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. And I think that goes back to the people that were elected on this council. Now, I can't speak a whole lot about previous administrations, but I can say on this council, our guys they're not out raising money. They're not doing those kind of things. They're serving this community. And then when you step out and look at, the telltale sign of a great city is how do you community police?
Yeah.
And you're speaking to it there, that our guys are going to stop if there's a crowd and say, hey, you need some traffic control.
Yeah.
We don't have to have you on the schedule, because there are things that pop up that may create a traffic problem, and we just need to keep people moving. And if it's to help you be able to move people in and out of your church so that you can give them food, I'm sorry, that is still our job.
Yeah.
And there'll be cities that'll say, oh, we can't do that because it's a church, or we can't do it because it's faith based. Well, I'm just telling you, when the crowd gathers up, by law, by ordinance, we have to show up and say, that we have a certain skill set that we can apply to your problem and help you out. Now, that's not to run anybody off. It's actually to kind of funnel them in here so that you get an opportunity with them. And that's how we see it. We've got a progressive police and fire chief, young guys. I actually made the mistake of calling Camp a kid in a meeting not long ago, but he's not a kid. I mean, he was just so young when he came on. I had somebody tell me just yesterday, I really thought you made a mistake by hiring somebody that young. And he said, but I've had to eat my words.
Yeah.
And that was a long-term Rainbow City man
Heck
that
yeah.
has a name that everybody knows. And he was just he just had to kind of take backwater
That's cool.
to that decision. But I'm thrilled to know that we have people here that don't just get set in stone and decide, well, I'm just not going to like him because I don't agree with the mayor's decision. And there are times when I'll make mistakes. It's rare, but but honestly, it's because I've got people like Jameson looking over my shoulder.
See,
I'm sure he's doing it right.
First
now.
lady, that was at the
I was looking for the first
30-minute, 57 mark.
Oh, I'm sure
go back
she'll
to-
go back.
Send that list alphabetically. We'll go down.
But we're just trying to do good work, and I think people somehow lose that in politics and in an elected capacity. We're just not that important.
Yeah.
And I'd like for us to be that would probably be really cool, but we're just not that important. It's our job. It's our job to work, and make sure that everything's as good and safe and wholesome as it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And and just supporting our schools.
That's cool.
That's tough, because we're putting police officers in places in these schools where they do become mentors, and they become psychologists sometimes, and mental health professionals for these kids.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you that they at one time were under equipped, but now we try to make sure that we put our police officers in some special training so that they can do those things. And our SROs are they're the unsung heroes of the
They're awesome.
community. They
Heck
are
yeah.
great.
They drive a great vehicle too.
Yeah, they do. Well, and
cool.
that's the other thing is we've got a couple of upgrades in vehicles that are coming. One for our SRO at Westbrook, and that's Mike Prater. He's a retired police officer that retired way too young, and he had a lot more to give, and he is literally changing the lives of those kids down there. They love him.
That's cool.
And
They got day 2 right now of the golf state championships, right?
I think so.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so too.
that JD Burns, that kid's no joke.
Bro can scrape a ball, Jeff.
Kill it, and he's about $125.
It makes
that makes no sense to me.
I mean, I get you're the size of a Andy Ford.
Yeah.
You
you
built
should
like
be able
that.
to hit it.
You
Yeah,
you can
sure.
compress the ball. This little kid
Oh yeah, he
ain't no
rips it.
joke, man.
That's awesome,
It's like wow.
Where are they playing? Where is the?
One of the Robert Trent Jones courses. I
Okay.
forget. Not in local. It's probably Montgomery down that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I think they had a pretty good first day, and so we hope they bring in
good.
another championship.
Heck
They
yeah.
won the state championship last year. Evan Edge's kid helped lead the way in that, and the Nolan. God, what's Nolan's last name? I can't think of it. Terrell.
I mean,
Nolan.
Craig, Greg Edge. Greg.
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 I-
Greg.
yeah.
You said
Greg
that's-
Edge.
yeah,
Evan
yeah,
Edge.
you're right.
Yeah, the wrong one.
And he's still coaching. Greg is still
Probably,
the coach there.
yeah. If he can find a way to play free golf, he's in.
Sure.
Hey, let's talk about elections quickly before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Still time to register to vote.
Correct.
So everybody we need people to just come vote.
Yeah, just come vote. And we had a really, really great turnout
Yeah.
last time we had an election, and it was a little bit of a wave, where some people were disgruntled and ready to have a change, and that, to me, people that decide to put their name in the hat, I have to tip my hat to them,
Sure.
especially now that I understand what it means, what you're actually committing to. But I will say that we're in a place right now that in the next couple of weeks I'm going to bring our city clerk in on this show and let her talk just election, because it's so technical and she's so good at it.
Yeah.
It'll help relieve people from that fear of showing up to the polling place. It's our job at our polling places, and I don't get to touch that. She makes sure that I keep a distance on that. It starts out it's mine until a certain point, and then it immediately just transfers to her, and then she becomes the polling official. And it's Beth Lee. Beth Lee's really, really good at it. She's a subject matter expert. She's the chairman, or actually the president of the Municipal Clerks Association for the state of Alabama. So
That's huge.
she just came back from a conference where that's all they talked about is voting. They had Wes Allen from the Secretary of State's office there to make sure that we're doing things right. And we want to elections are precise machines, and we have to make sure that we're doing things right. But she'll come in, but we'll have qualification soon. You're already hearing people say that they're going to run for office, and
Some of you aren't.
and and when they
It's a different show.
when they show different show when they show up, they're treated with the same dignity.
Sure.
Beth was, you have to understand, Beth was hired by Terry John Calhoun to come in as his secretary. Ended up
Great
being the
hire.
city clerk. And when I came to sign up to run for mayor, Beth treated me with absolute dignity. She didn't talk down to me. She sat down and helped me, and carried me through the forms, because it's not real hard to do. And then she said, "Now I need you $50." And I was hooked up, and she said, "Good luck. You'll be on the ballot." And
How about that?
There you go.
she could have spoke to me in a totally different
Sure she
tone,
could, yeah.
but she didn't do that. And she's a consummate professional, and we're gonna bring her on the show, because I think it's going to ease people's mind to know
Yeah.
how our elections carry on, because there's always this talk about how you can cheat an election.
Sure.
That's not happening. I promise you that.
The best place I've ever went to vote is Rainbow City. You walk in, you know everybody. You got all the volunteers sitting up there alphabetically. I got to make my rounds to,
Yeah.
to say hi to the people before I get over to where I'm voting at. And the atmosphere is great. It's friendly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, when we voted here, I loved it. I mean, and you talk about a crowd, but you're moving. They
Yeah,
they
you
move
are.
you through.
They are very efficient.
They are.
And all of that system is developed, and Beth and her poll workers developed that system to move bodies as fast as they possibly can.
and they do.
And still do a really, really good job, and allow it to still feel like hometown.
Yeah.
But we've got an election coming up. I think it's May 20th.
20th, right? Yeah.
And that's the reintroduction of our 9 mil tax, and there's a guy on Facebook that's talking about this and talking down to it and saying that it's not a good thing and whatever. This tax is in place. It's been in place for 20 years. It actually goes all the way back to the 60s or
Yeah.
something like that. But what it is it's a 9 mil tax on 20% of the assessed value of a piece of property. Now, somebody put out something. He actually put out something not long ago that was just bad. It was everything on the thing was phony. It was fake. It was meant to stir people up, scare people. He said
worked.
it's going to be $900 on a $100,000 home. That's not true. It's a $100,000 home. Take 20% of that, then it's 9 mils, which is, what is that? Basically 1/1000th of a thousand. And I'm sorry, that ends up being about $90, or less. It's actually less than that, because it's the 20%. So it's not 100% of the value of your home.
Yeah.
If you got a $200,000 home, it's going to be 20% of that, so it would be rated at $20,000, with what is the taxable portion of that. So now, if he wants to argue that, he would be better to take it up with somebody that's more likely to lie to him than me. But I'm going to tell him a gun barrel straight truth that he has no idea what he's talking about, and he can go to the Code of Alabama and find that. Go do a mill calculator on Google one up, man.
Yeah.
You could figure it
Google
out.
it up. You
Yeah.
said.
It's just not that hard. But I think that going out and scaring people and making them believe,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you don't have to like the way the schools are ran.
Sure.
We have 3 school systems here. I know the superintendents of all 3. They are highly qualified people.
Sure.
Keith Blackwell is a great friend of mine. I don't know Cold Grove that way, but I can tell you I respect him. I respect that man. And then ours and Dr. Cosby, he is no joke. And they have to have that money.
Yeah.
That money, if they don't do that, we can't transport our kids, we can't feed our kids, we can't educate them. And I promise you, if you're willing to go and whip every kid in every one of these systems, then go vote no. And you're going to whip every kid in this county. Now, if you want to be the person that tries to find light and tries to build up and tries to encourage and bring forth a spring of life out of this area, you better vote yes. And I'm not threatening anybody. I'm just telling you,
Sure.
nobody hates taxes more than I do. I've paid a lot of taxes because God's blessed me financially my whole life. I can say this: I hate taxes. But there's some of these that I've got to pay.
Got to, yeah.
And I don't have any kids in public school.
Danny Starn says, and that's why Joe Taylor's America's mayor.
That's right.
Well, I appreciate that, Danny.
That's awesome. Hey, Coach Randy Weiss decided to join us with
Well,
his
it's good to
presence.
have him.
All right, Coach.
I wish we could bring him in, but he wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
do you see Danny's comment above that one?
No.
Look
How
at
much do you want to bet Gadsden election they announce 7:59 completion?
Danny, it's too much.
Stir it, baby.
Here we go. I love it.
Danny is on our Citizens Advisory Committee
Yeah.
to the MPO, to the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So
Yeah.
Danny knows roads.
He cracks
just
me up,
you'll
man.
know.
He cracks me up.
And he is he's a big help to us because he gets to go over there and say for our area what we need in transportation.
Yeah.
And then I don't just look like a mayor coming in there always wanting something.
Sure.
It's where some of our citizens step in there and say, hey, look, we've got a traffic problem. And, and some of the things that happened out of just since Danny's been on, we got an integrated traffic system. We're going to be a part of that, which takes AI and takes cameras and a central control system out of AlDOT, and they begin to move our traffic for us, more efficiently. Now, is it going to change life? For the better. If it's 2 minutes of your life, that's 2 more minutes we give back to you, not sitting at a red light. And that's what we need. We've got a very, very high volume intersection here in Rainbow City, and it's amazing that Highway 77 was around 10,000 cars a day right there in front of Publix. Now it's about 27,000 cars a day.
Wow, that's incredible.
And we have to do some things now to control some traffic. So that's why we'll have the church.
Coach Weiss says Beth Lee rocks.
Yes. Beth Lee keeps us straight. Even last night, we were in a pre-council, actually a work session, and it's all open door. We don't close the door every time I try to because of the vacuum cleaner. They get on to me, but we've got a timing issue in City Hall that I've been trying to work on for 4.5 years, and it's that every time I start to have a meeting, the vacuum cleaner starts up.
That is awesome.
So now we have
Coincidence?
all of our comedians that work down in the building department, Mike Bolton and John J. Rowe. They come by and they have a cell phone that has a recording of a vacuum.
Dude, that's
Oh, my
awesome.
And they stand outside the door until I notice it, and then they just walk off.
That is so
And they
good.
think they're cute.
That's fantastic.
But
So
That's
good.
fantastic.
that is something that our council will tell you is that Beth Lee sits in all of these meetings with us. She has to do that. That's a part of her job. But if we get off track and say something, she'll say that's not covered. That need to be covered under. She said last night, Mayor, we don't need to talk about that. And and I think she thought I was headed towards something that was going to be executive session, but
Yeah.
it happened to have been something we had discussed prior to that was still public. And I wasn't ashamed for anybody in the room, and there were other people in
Sure.
the room, for them to hear it. But there are times when we can go to an executive session, talk about somebody's character, actually talk about something that the city needs that they're worried we would end up being in a battle with somebody else over purchasing a piece of equipment or whatever, and we do have to go to executive session, but it's rare, very rare.
We're super excited to have her on.
Yeah, she's something else now.
Yeah, she's
She's the
scared.
most
No.
approachable person.
She's so
is.
nice.
She really is.
She
And
comes
she
up
is
to
a
me
busy lady.
every time I'm in there, even when I'm voting. Hey, how you doing? Everything okay?
Just
and she means
super-
it. Man,
She
she's
does, she
so-
does, and she
She's a
helps.
genuine person.
Everybody in that corner of our building, we have revenue in there. We have revenue. We have building our permits and licensure, and occupational, and then we have the city clerk. They're all in that corner. And I'm telling you, if you come to that window, there's going to be two or three people
That's
coming
right.
to check on
I
you.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really neat.
Yep. Wow. Jameson Jenkins says Beth is so critical.
No, that's Claire.
Is that Claire? No, Jameson's up above her.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I never look at
Because
what
Joe
he
would not
says.
do well in prison at all.
I tell everybody, I'm ugly on the street, but I'm pretty in prison.
Woo!
You-
That's
I
like
mean,
going. You're solid 8.5
Joe said he
at
ain't
Walmart.
holding nobody's pocket. Nope. That's awesome.
Beth is the coolest. She says.
That's right.
I think you can see that when we're in when we're in meetings and And if you kind of get off of that agenda too far, you'll feel her bump your leg. And she's very, very covert about it, or she'll reach over onto a piece of paper and I'm gonna give away a little secret of the mayorship or whatever, and that is that there are times when I'll have cheat sheets that have to go by the state code.
Sure.
And so, in other words, by Robert's Rule of Order and the state code, and by just the legalities of the system, it'll be outlined for me. And but the rest of the time I'm just winging it and letting her rip, and that's what probably makes our meeting look very, very structured and fast. But Beth has all of those things lined out for us and for me. And Jeff Prince, he'll tell you there's times when he has to take my place as the mayor pro tem, and Beth Lee's there to make sure she helps you always. And it's a whisper. She never grandstands us. She could. There's some times when early on when she could have let me, she could have ripped me a new one, but she just didn't do that.
That's incredible.
She's always helps to protect my dignity as well as that of the city council.
Certainly looking forward to it.
Yep. That's great.
She's going to be a good. Now after that, I'm going to bring Philip Hollingsworth. He's our Parks and Recreation director.
Sure.
Philip's got so much going right now. I'm sure he feels buried because he's got this huge $6 million construction project on all of his fields at one time.
That's crazy.
Past that, he's got we have some other construction and renovation going on at his parks, and then he has this recreation center that in the next few months we'll begin to start putting together the planning to bring it online, and costs associated with it, employee hiring, and because we'll have to have some more people working for the city.
Man, I love it. I love seeing Rainbow City grow and go. It's awesome. It is so cool.
Yeah, the same fella yesterday that we were talking about, the police chief, he told me, he said you always worry about growth. He said our growth has been so good and so comfortable. He said, I just feel like we have more, but we haven't crowded ourselves in. We haven't forced ourselves into a corner. Yeah. And he said, and I still feel like we got a long way to go. And that's not normal from an old head.
Sure.
From somebody that's been around forever. We all are reluctant to change, but change is coming. We just have to control and make sure it's good.
Jeff, I don't know how I missed this comment by Andrea Helms when you were talking SROs. Said there's such a good way for our children from troubled homes who may have only seen a negative side of law enforcement, maybe seeing a parent arrested, to see that they are there to help and to care. It really helps that relationship to try to break the cycle.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it, because I think that's what those guys are doing. First off is our SROs, and this is just for Rainbow City, because I asked this question early on. How do those guys go down there? Mm-hmm. I hate the thought of forcing somebody into that job. That should not be an assignment. Yeah. That should be a privilege, a calling. That's right. And I think in the case of these guys, the biblical basis of knowing where you belong is, that for many are called, few are chosen. Mm-hmm. These are chosen people. Yeah. And they're different. And I promise you, they are absolutely different. Michael Reeves plays in the band with the kids at Rainbow Middle. That's great. He's a great saxophonist too. And Officer Pickard, down at John Jones. Those kids love him. You see him in the mornings, and he's giving them, pounds and high fives, and just loving our kids where they are. And and that allows, and it's what she was saying, that allows that approachability for them to be able to come out and say, "Hey, I'm in trouble," or I'm in a tough time. Can you help me? Yeah. I don't want us to ever miss an opportunity to help. Yes. And some of these kids are in dire straits, and we don't need to act like because we're in Rainbow City and we have a higher earning rate and our rooftop median income is ridiculous. It's very, very high by national standard, and especially by the county standard. We don't need to act like we don't have problems, and we're not going to turn our head and say, "Oh, we don't have that in Rainbow City." We have all of it. We have every bit of it.
Sure.
But it's our job to go out and try to intervene and mitigate those problems for our people, and we'll make better kids.
That's right.
But we do have to get involved.
No doubt.
And knowing we've got police officers that do that.
That's right. Well, that involvement, the high five and the smiles, the approachability. Don't think they won't flip a switch though. You come and try to hurt one of them babies,
Oh,
the
sir.
switch
Please.
gets
With
turned.
With a quickness.
Goodness.
And I can tell you that's the thing about not forcing an assignment. Those are their kids.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. That's them.
And
yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. They know one thing out of me. If somebody comes in there and hurt those kids, I'm for them to go ahead and just finish that program.
Yeah, they ain't gonna
Take
make
care of it.
Yeah, take care of it.
They gonna go on in.
That's it.
They gonna
Going
go
on
on in.
in.
That's it.
Just like us, we finna go on in.
Yeah.
That is it.
know,
Anything else?
It feels
No,
so
sir.
good to live in the safest city in Alabama.
And we just want things to stay that way. We want people to feel absolutely safe. My stepdaughter Natalie is about to finish. We don't even know what's going on.
It's a bomb threat.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. She's about to move back from Auburn. She's finishing up down there in the nursing school of nursing, and I'm acting like that's not even happening. Have you seen that?
can't.
Just going
Class.
But she wouldn't come home.
Good for her.
And that thrills me to death. Jeff's got to go
can't-
answer
he
the
can't
phone. Just so you'll know, we think it's Jameson.
It probably is.
Sorry about that.
You got to take
But-
your medicine.
yeah.
That's that alarm.
Yeah, that's right. But
No, it's just time to make Joe be quiet. That's all it was.
I'm excited that she's on my street.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
My
y'all
street
gonna
got
be neighbors.
upgraded.
Yeah.
We got upgraded.
Okay.
That's right. But I can say this, our neighborhoods are real neighborhoods still,
Yeah.
and man,
That's
it's
true.
just different.
Yeah, it is.
But we're thrilled to death.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll start talking about elections. I don't think a lot of people want to talk about elections.
We do.
Yes.
Check us out on Wednesdays.
Yeah. I saw where y'all are starting that.
And this Wednesday's gonna be fun.
Man, just the
Kevin
intro
Stevens,
to
call
that
us.
one's worth watching twice, and I've
yeah.
done that.
Yeah, I got a lot of calls off that, by the way. A lot of calls off that.
Yeah.
My text that I got immediately was, "Dude, what in the world?"
What happened?
My bad.
Yeah.
Not my bad.
not really.
Hey, wait till Wednesday is all I gotta tell you.
Hey, we can't wait to tell you what Michael Shell's going to be running for.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Michael may get active. Dude, get active now. Everybody's
See
got
how
an
he
ele-
just says stuff?
Everybody's got an election coming up.
They do.
Gazin has an election?
No, Gazin don't.
Yeah.
There's 6, right? 26.
They're one of only a
6.
few cities in the state
Yeah.
that have that off cycle, or I guess for them it's their own cycle, but it's off cycle of all the rest of us. So they got a little bit more time.
We're off the show.